Hi everyone, it's Karen here today and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you a couple of journal pages that I have done in my really big Dina Wakley journal. I'm using the cotton rag and I'm also going to use the craft paper on the other side as well. So I recently got some Prima oil pastels, they're water soluble ones, and I wanted to try them out and see what they were like. So this is what my pages are like. So this is the background, sorry. So I'm just scribbling out some of the crayon onto my paper and then I'm going to wet it. And I sprayed it first to see how it would actually run and it didn't. So then I've grabbed out a paintbrush and I've got that nice and soppy wet. And now I'm just going over the colours with that. I really like how the colours picked up with the water and started to move around. However, I did have some of the scribble marks still left in underneath where I had brushed it over. But you know, that's really cool and gives a you know, some more texture to your page as well. So yeah, they're actually really nice. I like them. So I've got two sets. One's the basic set and the other one's the rustic. So mostly on the white page I've just used the basic bright sets and I've used the Perusian blue out of the rustic set to go around the outside. So now I'm just drying that off and then I'm going to have a go onto the craft site and see how that looks and works. Okay, so now we come in again. I decided to wet my page first this time and see if that helped with the scribble marks, and it does a little bit, but I still had some of those scribble marks left in there. So I guess it's like a lot of, you know, like the scribble sticks or other water-soluble crayons like Jane Davenport ones or these Prima ones or Dina's or whoever's you might happen to be using, they all seem to leave those little scribble marks left onto the paper. And I've also dipped my crayon into the jar of water as well, which is just off to the side, just to see if that made much difference. And on this side, it is actually moving a little better, and I'm not ending up with those really big scribble marks. However, I don't like it. So we're going to fix that. Well, I'm going to fix that later. I really, I like how nice and bright it is on the white, but obviously I'm not a big fan of the craft paper in this Dina journal. I really like the cotton rag more so than the burlap or the canvas or the craft. But that's okay. I will still use it because it's in my journal. But it would be awesome if we had a full journal just full of cotton rag paper, like the little 6x6 ones, but you know, in bigger sizes. So I've also got some new Dina Wakley collage paper. So I've just pulled out a piece there, and I happen to really like this disco type dancing girl, or however, I don't know, she just looked like she was rocking away to some music to me. So I'm going to glue her onto my page, sorry. And I'm actually using a heavy body gloss gel. I don't really need the heavy body, it's just that was the only gloss gel that I had. And after watching Neve on her channel for a while, she's switched to using the gloss medium to help glue her collage, like the tissues, in, because it helps makes them a little bit more translucent, so you haven't got that real big old white halo around them. So I quite liked how that did actually work. So yeah, the only reason I used the heavy body was because that's what I had. So I'm just making sure that I've got my page fully glued down underneath and on top, and that helps make the paper go more translucent. So now I'm just giving that a bit of a quick dry, so then I can move on to my next part that I want to do. So I've got some of Dina's new stamps as well. So this is one set here, and I really like this text that's on the stamp, and I kind of just thought, well, I can blend in the script that's already on the tissue paper and stamp some more in there to make it more combined in on the page. So that's what I'm trying to do. I don't explain things very well, sorry. But I'm just trying to even it out and make it more uniform by having that text carry on off the tissue paper and onto my actual journal page. That's what I'm trying to say. So I've also got some other stamps here from Dina, and this time I'm actually got my Jane Davenport white squid ink because it's such a beautiful white ink, and it's also waterproof, so you can't really go wrong with it. Actually, it's called a hybrid ink. So I'm just stamping some of that around. You probably can't see it so well on camera, but it is there and it does look quite nice floating there in the background. So now I've just gone off to find my other mark making stamps, my favourites from Tim Holtz, and I really like these little circles. I think that's one of my favourites in the set. So again with the white squid ink, and I'm just going to press that in. So that gives a nice bit of texture and background interest to my page there as well. And of course I've got the new little Dina quote collage bits as well, so I had to use one of those. So I've got this one, I need a huge amount of art supplies, not because that's I really do, because I use them and it's fun. So now I'm just gluing that in, again with the heavy gloss gel, just to make it more translucent. It's the only reason why I'm using the gloss. Yeah, so I'll just get that nice and dry. And then I was thinking about putting a little tag around that quote. There's a tag stamp in one of the new Dina stamps, but it was a little bit too little for the quote that's in there. So I'm just going to grab my Fude ball pen and just do some scribbles around it to give it a little bit of frame. And the bottom of my lady, I've sort of created a little bit of a skirt there. Now these stamps that I've just gotten out are from Paperartsy. They are designed by Tracy Scott. And this time I'm going to add a bit of paint onto my stamp. And again, I've got the Paperartsy paint. What's that colour? It's called Blue Lagoon, and I've just lightly put that on with my cut and dry foam and tapped it all over so it's nice and stamped it onto my page. So with the cut and dry foam, if you use the hard side of the foam, the paint doesn't squish down into the recesses of the stamp, so you're only going to get your stamped image with the paint. The other important thing to remember is with Paperartsy paints is that you need to get it off your stamp straight away before it dries. Now this other little set of oil pastels I've got are just metallic ones, and I'm just going around the outside of my lady, making her look a little bit fancy so she stands out a little bit more. And now I'm going to start tackling this other page that I'm not so keen on. So I've got my other piece of collage paper here from Dina out of the packet, and I've just trimmed it, and there's the other little bit there that I want to stick in as well, which is I spill, I make my mark. So I'm just going to grab my glue or gel and glue that in. Again, it's the same type, so I glue it in, and it's like, this is really not nice. I don't like this. I like the collage page, but I don't like the background. So it's like, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do with it. So I'm going to start giving it a quick dry, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to grab my Collage Collective book, also by Dina, and put some collage into the top and go from there. So the page that I've ripped out here is one of the thicker pages, so it's kind of like the cardboard section. You can use either or, but this is just the page that I happen to rip out. And because I've got my heavy gloss gel medium as well, it's going to help glue in that thicker collage paper better as well. And I've also got some leftover out of the book as well that I've just grabbed out of my collage basket. So I'm going to glue some collage papers in to help hide this mucky background. I like the colours I used, but I don't like how they looked on the craft. So I think I'll fix it by adding in these bits of collage, and then it will tie in with my other page on the other side. And then the two pages will join in together. Even though they're slightly different, they kind of work together. So that was the plan. And at the time, for me, it just wasn't working. So now I'm just gluing in my little bits of collage paper. Bit random. Just putting it into random spots and ensuring that I've got all my pieces glued down properly. I'm making sure that I have enough glue underneath the piece of paper and also on top, just to help seal it all in and onto my paper. So I'm also looking for another piece of collage paper to go for me to rip up and to pop in to my book here. So I've just ripped out another page from the Dina Collective, and I'm just going to pop that in. Now the paper that I've got now is the actual paper, it's not the card, so a little bit thinner, won't be as heavy in my book, not that it makes that much difference. So I'm just gluing in the little bits of pieces here, there and everywhere. No actual reason as to why I put a bit here and a bit there. I just want to cover up that that craft paper. So once I get all my other little bits in, which is almost done. Oops, sorry, I hit the camera with my long paintbrush and flipped it right over, so that's what happened there. Sorry about that. Oh dear. So I'm just gluing in the rest of my paper, and I'm just going to give it a quick dry with my heat gun, just to ensure that all the papers are nice and dry and that glue is nice and dry underneath all those layers before I start moving on to my next bit. And what that actually is some gesso. So what I'm going to do is grab some gesso, which I've already done, and I'm just painting that into the little gaps that are left of that craft, and where I'd put that bit of crayon. And the other thing that I'm actually doing is dipping my paintbrush into the water, just to help smooth the edges of my gesso out, so it's not a real full-on paint line, of around the edges. You can see that little bit in the middle that I just did. I just moved and spread the paint out a little bit, so it was a bit thinner out towards the edges. So now that I've done that, I'm going to get that all nice and dry, and I'm really liking it now because it's all matching in with the other side. So I'm just drying that off again, and then I can grab my oil pastels out again, my water soluble ones, to go over the top, and then it will really match in with the other page and make it much nicer. So here I go. I'm just going to scribble the colour on like I did before onto the page originally. So I'm just going with pinks and purples and some yellow just around there. That's tying in a bit better. A little bit of green, some more purple, some more pink, because I really like that pink. That's really pretty. And again, now I've just wet my paintbrush, and I'm going to help smooth those colours out to help spread them out. So I'm just going over my yellow. The yellow and the purple kind of just went a little bit mud there, so I just mopped that up. So just spreading the colour out and helping it tie in, and it's looking much nicer. I like this much better. I guess the craft is great, but it depends on what you want to do with it, I guess. And with the oil water soluble crayons, it didn't work so well. with that because I guess because it was brown and it just, yeah, the colours over the top just weren't as nice for me. But if you're going to use paint onto it, you know, it looks awesome, but with watercolours, not so much. So now I've just got myself a Dina stencil, and I've also got some other Paperartsy paints. This one is called, what's it called? Hang on, let me just find out what it's called for you. It's Mermaid. Sorry about that. So, and the other colour that I've got is called Night. That's the blue lagoon there. Night is going to come in a minute. Sorry about that, guys. So the stencil that I used before was just a Dina one, and I'm just doing it with my sponge. This little lotus stencil that I just used is from Alexandra Renke, and this is another Dina stencil, and this is the Midnight Paint, people. And I put the spell on the writing there. Now with my leftover paint, I've just grabbed out my little Dina journal, and I'm just going to paint the excess into there. And I really like how the Mermaid and the blue lagoon mixed in together and got that really nice sort of ombre look happening. So again, I've got my other Dina stamp with my Jane Davenport Squid ink, and I'm just going around again just to, with those couple of little stamps that I used on the other side to help tie them all in. I've also just doing my face, so I've just used a little bit of Posca pen and some velvet pastels from Jane Davenport, only because they just happened to be sitting on my desk over the side. Now this other little cross stamp that I'm using is also from Paperartsy. It's another one of Tracy's. Tracy's got just in the stamp set that it was in. And I'm also doing a little bit of mark making with my Posca pens now. So some pinks and greens and purples just over both pages to help tie them together. And just doing a little bit of white shadow on my words there because that looks cool. And then I'm going to fix up my I spill, I make my mark quote, the tissue that I put on first because it kind of got a little bit lost. So I'm just going over the top of it with some more Posca pens, just the black paint pens to help pop that back out. And that's it. So now I've just got a few pictures here for you in my gallery, a couple of close-ups and of the actual pages themselves. I really hope you've enjoyed my video today. I hope I've inspired you to break out your paints or pastels and get creating. I really like how it all turned out in the end, and I hope you do too. Leave me a comment down the bottom to tell me what you think. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.